we're doing this live on Discord and Twitch, but if you're watching it on YouTube, next time, come watch it live as well on Discord. But hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Meet the Legacy Devs. This is episode 14, and today we're diving into what has constantly been one of the most well-received parts of our game, the art style. And joining us, we have two of the minds that help bring the world of Legacy to life. We have Aaron, our principal environment artist, and we have Ted, our principal lighting artist. And they'll share a behind-the-scenes look at their work. Specifically, I think we're going to focus on the new night mode for Greenwood and the crypt and a bunch of other stuff they want to show. And after that, we'll open the stage for a live Q&A. So if you guys have any questions about the environment art or the creative process or just art in general, get your questions ready. And yeah, enjoy. Aaron and Ted, the floor is all yours.
Awesome. Well, it's super exciting to be here with you guys today. Looking forward to sharing a little bit of what the art team has been cooking for this upcoming patch for Legacy. A bit about me real quick, I guess. This is my 16th or 17th year as an environment and character artist. I spent a lot of time in the film industry. That's kind of where I got my start from the folks over there. But ultimately, my passion was very much rooted in gaming. It's kind of funny, around the studio, a few people have this same story, but basically my dad brought home this shiny new game one day, and it was called Warcraft 1 Orcs and Humans for MS-DOS, and popped that in, had a blast, and little did I know at that moment that I was kind of setting up for a career in this field. So it's been an absolute blast so far. Fast forward a few years, I ended up getting a job at a company called Ready at Dawn, which unfortunately they're not around anymore, but you guys may have heard of a couple of games we worked on over there. One is The Order 1886, and then another is Lone Echo. It's like a VR game. Had a super good time with that, learned a lot. It was a really cool company for kind of transitioning out of film and into games, which there's quite a few differences in how you make a film versus a game, and everything from how assets are managed to basically the subject matter and how you see it. From there I went on to Riot Games, where I had the fortunate pleasure of helping form their cinematics team. So that group later went on to make a series, some of you guys may have heard of it, it's called Arcane. So that was a pretty cool experience over there as well, just kind of working with all the talented folks at Riot. From there I went to Blizzard, actually, which was my dream job. It's kind of where I ultimately wanted to be. It took me, bouncing around in other industries and stuff before, I kind of felt like I was ready to finally apply to Blizzard, but ended up getting a job with them on the cinematics team, where I got to work on a lot of different really cool stuff. One of the cool parts of Blizzard Cinematics is that you get to touch all the different IPs in that franchise. So got to work on Warcraft and Diablo, Heroes of the Storm, Hearthstone. It was kind of something different, every month it seemed like. So it was a really, really cool experience there. And of course, there's a lot of really talented folks. I learned a lot over there that I was able to kind of to bring here ultimately. And also I got to, while I was at Blizzard, I got to do something really fun, which was help with environment art direction on Diablo 2 Resurrected. That was a total dream job for me, because Diablo 2 is one of my most favorite games of all time. So from there, that's where I kind of noticed Notorious. I spotted them online and kind of read through their mission statement, looked into their game, and really, really appealing to me. Kind of felt like old school Blizzard vibes and how they were approaching game development and what they wanted to do ultimately with Legacy. I found it really, really inspiring, and ended up reaching out to Chris over there and sharing a little bit of my story, and the rest is history. I've been enjoying my time here at Notorious so far. It's been a wild ride, but it's been a ton of fun, and there's so many amazing folks over here that are passionate about elevating this game and making an amazing experience for everyone. So anyway, that's a bit of me. Let me kick it over to Ted here.
Hey everybody, I'm Ted Helmers. I'm the principal lighting artist here at Notorious. Um, I I've been doing this for a long time, well over 25 years now. A lot of gray hairs, well earned. I started off lighting like my entire career. I started in film school, actually climbing up ladders, hanging lights on stages before computers and stuff had really come into uh, stuff, you know, and sort of self-taught some VFX software back in the day called Lightwave and 3D Studio back when it was on DOS before they call it Max now, and started off as a generalist in TV for a while, and then I made the transition to film, and I've been lighting ever since. I've worked on a couple projects like Kung Fu Panda, The Hunger Games. My first film was Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow, a long time ago. Um, and then I made the transition to games to on Black Ops, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, on their cinematics team. So similar to Aaron, I transitioned into games through the cinematics, which was the closest analogy to film work. And on the DLC on that, I started moving into lighting maps and have been in games ever since. From there I went to Fallout over at Bethesda and a couple other studios, and then that led me here to Notorious because a couple of my friends who I worked with at previous studios were here, and they were looking for a lighting artist, and I came over, and I've been very happy to work with this crew. This team is amazing. I love my job. And that's me.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, we have some powerhouses here. No wonder the game looks as good as it does. So yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about the environment art now. And yeah, just got you guys take it away.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, so when the environment art team kind of started on this project, we had a few different kind of major goals in mind. First and foremost, we wanted to create an epic and immersive world for the player. And that can kind of mean different things depending on who you ask, but for us, it was kind of about a few different areas. One, kind of pushing scale and exaggeration. So, as you guys know, our game is not exactly like The Witcher, or it doesn't look exactly like Fortnite. We have this kind of hybrid art style that is all about kind of taking the iconic elements of any given subject matter, whether it's like, anything from a broken down wagon to a tower to a castle. We want to take the elements that make it what it is, the iconic bits of it, and we want to exaggerate that, push those shapes and forms kind of to level 11. But to balance that, basically what you want to try to avoid is not getting into the realm of kind of a cartoony, whimsical, playful style. So to balance that, we then take those shapes and we reinforce them with hyper-realistic detailing and what we call scale identifiers. One example of that would be, rather than just taking a tower and scaling it up, we want to kind of, maybe we want to beef up the crenellations on the top or really kind of push the silhouette elements of that asset, and then make it feel big and epic. But then in order to bring it back to ground level and to kind of make it relatable to the player, we want to maybe wrap that with some ivy that has leaves that are real scale, or maybe hang some chains or ropes that are properly scaled, so that when you look at this asset, you can see the things that make sense as far as like scale identifiers. But then it makes everything else feel that much bigger in that epic. So we work in an art style that I would kind of deem as kind of a stylized realism. We want our world to feel tangible and alive and believable, but we also want it to kind of feel handcrafted and a certain amount of gritty kind of believability to the surfaces. Another kind of major thing that we set out to do was we want to be storytellers through the world. When we set out to build an environment, it's not just about haphazardly throwing things around and, oh, does that look good, or what color should the lampshades be, or where do we want the bushes and rocks. Everything that we do, we try to tell story with it, and sometimes it's just a hint or a nod. Other times it's it's quite on the nose. A lot of times we find that letting the imagination kind of take place a little bit as well is always a lot of fun, because what you come up with in your mind as a viewer can sometimes be a lot cooler than what we deliberately throw in front of you. So a lot of what we do kind of hints at certain things. So an example might be, if there's like a blood stain on the ground, or some kind of something happened over here, we might hint at that, but kind of let your imagination fill in the gaps. Where we decide to place theming for like a goblin camp, or if we want something to feel old or decrepit, or like a battle took place, or whatever it may be. We'll drop little hints and breadcrumbs like that, and every decision that we make, from where every rock is placed to every hay bale, is it's thought out. It's a deliberate process. Another big thing is we want to make our world kind of iconic and memorable. So whether you're playing in, Goldbrook, via the tutorial, or you jump into Greenwood, or we move into Greenwood Night or the Crypts, we want each of these locations to feel and look vastly different, so that you as the player, at any point, you can look around and immediately identify, oh, this is where I'm at. I know by the colors, by the lighting, by the mood, by the set dressing treatment, exactly kind of what part of the world I'm in. That's very important to us. If everything starts blending together and becomes kind of, reaches this point where it's not kind of memorable or impactful, we're not doing our job then. We want everything to feel kind of fresh and unique. And then lastly, like a world with a history, so as we build this out, we don't just want these places to feel like they were fashioned together, last week or something. This kind of ties into the storytelling behind every choice that we make. We want it to feel like this is a lived-in world. It's got a history. There's thousands of years of events that have taken place before you reached it and are discovering these things. So again, just leaving little kind of visual breadcrumbs and hints and nods at the fact that this is a very ancient world with a rich history to it. And then kind of the last kind of major pillar for us was just working in a very efficient way with modular assets. We need to, we have all these big dreams for what we want the world to be and how we want it to feel, but we've got to bring those together through building things in an efficient, forward-looking way. So what I mean by that is that, we are here at Notorious, we're a small team. We've got, a small group of people that are, very good at what they do, but it's kind of comes down to how can we build assets in a way that are that will allow us to reuse those elements later on, or to rotate them or change them in different ways to kind of maximize how many times we can get away with kind of the same content. So, as an example, we wouldn't just build a castle, just like a bespoke castle. What we're going to do instead is we're going to build the pieces that can be put together in different ways to build all kinds of different shapes and sizes and styles of castles. So we work in a way that is referred to as modular and kits. We have various different kits in the world, castle kits, village, cliffs, trees, everything kind of belongs to like a family of assets. And it's built in a way that we can, later on, we can swap out the texture on that, and suddenly this castle kit that was designed for Greenwood that has moss all over it, well, maybe we can change that out, and we can pack in sand into the crevices and different, different techniques like that to kind of make that same element work in, say, a desert map or a swamp map, or, any other kind of location that we might want to go to one day. So those are just kind of some different examples of how we're kind of building assets with being able to deliver content quickly.
I think next slide actually
this is a quick
shows
shot.
That.
Yeah. So this is a picture of what we internally refer to as our gallery, kind of the Walmart of assets, if you will. Basically, this is a level where we've laid out every unique asset that's been built for the game. And we can take these assets, we can group them together, we can visualize them, we can assemble them. It's kind of a little playground so that we can kind of validate the different kits and sets that we're making to kind of make sure that everything jives together and works. So in this example, if you kind of look at the top right image, this is one of the houses. You guys may recognize it from the Baron's estate. And what this kind of describes is that when we're setting out to build something like this, it's not just build the house, it's build the shingles, build each individual shingle, build each individual um, section of wall that can be a doorway or a window or like a T section or an L section. We build these out with a lot of thought into maximizing what we can make from them. So essentially we're making our own Lego kit, if you will, or kind of model kit. And then we take these different pieces, we group them together. We take those shingles, it becomes a prefab basically a glorified grouping of shingles that gets grouped together into an arrangement that builds out the entire roof. Same with the lower parts of the house. And before you know it, we've got all the pieces. We can build many different kinds of houses out of that. But where the power of this system comes in is that at any point in time, we can return to these original assets, like the shingle, like the wall, and we can change the color on it. We can change the texture treatment. We could even modify the model itself. And those changes will then propagate to all the instances of all the houses around the map. So it's a very non-destructive way of working, and it makes us super nimble so that when we're ready to kind of like, it's a snowball effect, right? So like once we get enough things kind of built into the system, we're able to iterate and build variations and build future content for you guys in a much more expedited rate. All right, go ahead, Ted, take it away.
Yeah. So lighting. Lighting covers a huge topic of games and immersive storytelling and storytelling. And telling stories is why I got into this. I love just environmental storytelling and that sort of thing. So for example, setting the mood and telling the story. Greenwood that you're familiar with, is daytime, and you could see a lot and very long distances because it's daytime. It's but we wanted to do something different with night, and a lot of it's like the map really hasn't changed. Just the sun has gone down, and that means a lot of things technical that you as a player don't really need to deal with, but we do as the artist to make sure that it's still playable for you and looks good, and doesn't drag performance down and things like that. So lighting covers every pixel of the screen. We're do we want it to be dramatic? Do we want it to be informative? It's like so much can happen with lighting. Bad lighting can make great assets of that Aaron and his team are putting together. Unfortunately, we can make it look bad with bad lighting, or we can the inverse. We could take stuff that might not be up to snuff and make it look great. Just a well-placed light can, with the character, right? The eyes, quote unquote, being the window to the soul. A well-placed light can make that character just come alive. A bad placed light, and trust me, I've worked on my fair share of those dead-eyed kid movies where the characters don't quite look alive. Lighting can tank stuff like that, which is not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to elevate their story and make a great game for you all. Play wise, we could guide the player to points of interest, POIs, through different techniques of how bright the light is, different color contrast. It's like if the global moon lighting is cool, then warm torches could draw your eye into, like the King's Road. We have, for the night map, we have lit all of the, during daytime, some of the lanterns are lit, but at nighttime, most of them are. So you can actually follow the path. And, who is turning on these lights? That's a whole other story that we won't get into today. But, in the world. But we do have that is another interesting story for another day. Also, illuminating for interaction. So, we can make a pretty picture, But if you guys can't play in it, if it's too dark and you can't see, then that's no fun. If it's too bright for a dark area that you can see everything, then what's the point of nighttime, right? So, making it playable, while keeping with the lore and the story and everything, is a big part of what we do. And let's face it, you are our epic heroes, and you deserve epic worlds. So, bringing the drama and the scale, the spectacle, all of that to your story as you play in the game is a big part of what it's about. Next.
Next slide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, so when we kind of set out to make Greenwood Night, we had a couple of goals in mind. I would say one of the biggest things was we wanted to create a vastly new visual experience that was different from day. I'm guessing many of you have had a similar experience. I know that I have, where nighttime in a game could just be, maybe they turn the lights down a little bit, or maybe they just color shift the sky, or it's like a color grade, but it feels very similar to day. Like there's really no difference except for like a little bit of, almost like a post process change or something like that. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to do something that was a lot more impactful with night. We wanted night to really feel different and even create different gameplay than what you would have happen during the day. Something that would kind of keep you and your party members a little bit tighter together, because you don't want to be left in the darkness. There's a lot of that going on. So another thing that we wanted to kind of keep in mind is that being able to reuse art content in a meaningful way, this has a very high impact for us. So being able to take the Greenwood map that a lot of resources and time went into, and be able to create longevity for that content. So it's not just, as we online more and more maps down the road, you don't just kind of blow through Greenwood, you never see it again, and it's kind of forgotten content. Instead, we can take that same map and we can kind of juice it up a bit, and we can create this night version that's maybe there's different mobs and different gameplay associated with that, and it's not just turning down the lights. There's a lot of cool things that we're doing with night. Things from creating like a dynamic moonlight that kind of scurries across the ground in different ways, so that it's not the same experience every time. Like this moonlight almost kind of acts like a prison spotlight, and it can kind of reveal you when you least expect it. Conversely, there's parts of the map that might be a little more shrouded in darkness or fog that might lend themselves well to hiding in these areas and springing attacks on different players at different opportunities. We wanted to create a tone of danger, mystery, and beauty with night as well. So being able to kind of capture that sense of, this is not just darkness without flavor. There's a sense of danger. There's a mystery to what lies in the fog beyond. There's a story to what we're doing here, and it kind of creating that juxtaposition between danger and beauty. Like there's a lot of areas where you can look around and it's kind of this captivating visual moment, but you're quickly reminded by the world that this is still a dangerous place. And kind of just alluding again, darkness. It's darkness with a purpose. It's not just turning the lights off. There's a lot of different things that will change. Maybe a camp that was abandoned during the day, maybe that will suddenly come to life at night, and maybe different points of interest that were of a certain prominence during the day. Maybe their position in the world changes a little bit at nighttime. So a lot of cool things to explore there. Ted, if you want to take challenges, maybe.
Yeah. So challenging. Making Greenwood not just blue colored day. How dark can we go? Because one of our from the beginning of the game, we knew we wanted to make a night map, and we didn't want to be afraid of dark areas. But how dark can we go and still keep it playable? That was a big task, and this being our first night map, we were able to work on that. So we had a lot of internal play tests of, the first time we did it, it was like, oh, this is too bright. It's very you know, it still looked like daytime. And then the next time was, everybody was like, Ted, I can't see anything. Could you please turn some lights back on? Right. So it went back and forth, and we've settled on something that looks really cool. Like Aaron was saying, is we didn't want it just the same play experience. We wanted, I mean, there's a reason why they told, Riding Hood to stay on the path in the daytime and don't even go in the woods at night. Right. So we really wanted this to be a dangerous place, um, at night, and to get the feeling of that. And it's like, when, how much can you see? Um, uh, and we have like certain POIs, like goblins. They love fire. Maybe some areas, have a couple more torches than they did during the daytime. To ward off some of those wolves and at their doors. That sort of thing. So we work. I like to say we work macro to micro, right? So we have to work on like the global stuff, like what does the moonlight look like? How dark is it? Down, and we keep whittling that down until we get to the immediate area around you. So one of the things that's coming up is we will have lanterns, that the players can equip that help them see a little bit in the dark areas. But just be aware, other people can see the lanterns, and they might see you a bit further off if than you might like. And some of the dungeons and stuff, we want to get a little bit darker. So you'll have to worry about turning the lights on and off. This is going to be up to you, how comfortable you are, as a beacon in the night.
Or you could just play a priest or a wizard, and then you have no choice. You're a beacon in the night.
Exactly.
Regardless.
That's exactly right.
Watch out for the rogues.
Yeah. So now for the fun part.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Was that?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, that was it. Like, people over, I think they've heard us yabber on for long enough. They want to see the goods.
Enough
Alright.
talk. Let's get in there, right?
Yeah.
All right.
pretty
Let's see how this goes. So, quick disclaimer before we jump in. What we're about to show you is going to be an in-editor fly-through. So we're going to show you the world through the lens of kind of how we build it through the actual editor. So we'll be able to kind of fly around to various parts that you guys might want to see. I'll just kind of take you on a quick tour through Greenwood Night and what we have so far. Andre, if you've got any suggestions on POIs to go to, or if anybody wants to shout out different areas they want to see, we can try to accommodate.
Yeah, exactly. If you guys have any questions, I guess we could just go into the Q&A part. So if you guys have any questions in the chat, I'll drag you on the stage. Hopefully my frames aren't gonna get too messed up, but we'll figure it out. I actually wanted to ask Ted something myself. I wanted to ask if there's any kind of lighting tricks or illusions that players might not really notice, because when I fly through it, I see some lights that I don't expect to be there, but they do create they do like contribute to the atmosphere, but it's not like I wasn't expecting a light to just exist there. Like, so what are some of those?
Oh, is it like you're not seeing a source, or?
It's like a blue kind of ambience, for instance, like up in the trees. Like, what is that? It looks right, but
so
I don't know why it looks right, but it looks right.
Yeah, so there are a lot of tricks that we're pulling off, because even though the engine, this is something I actually did mean to say earlier, alluding to, Aaron's talk about style. We want to hyper realize, not too cartoony, but this is, our world really isn't a realistic quote unquote world. One of the things we did want to do is have a more grounded lighting. Right, so if everything is kind of over the top and cartoony, it's everything. Nothing really is. It's just gotta get washed out. So we're trying to go for a more realistic looking light. So like right here, Aaron, stop. There aren't very many localized lights in here, but what you're seeing is, we do have a moonlight coming in, and we do have a bounce from that. So light just doesn't shoot out like a flashlight and stop at the wall. It will bounce off of those surfaces. And
Mhm.
so the engine tries to go for a realistic I mean, it's built on realism, like how light will bounce off a surface and go into a camera. But computers as powerful as they are now aren't Matrix level
Yep.
perfect realism. So we are doing a lot of tricks. One of the latest things we got is our amazing tech artist Sam did this amazing fog for us
I
that
was gonna
Aaron
ask. Yep.
is painstakingly painted in to get this low level kind of Halloween fog on the ground. And that's kind of that's lifting the darks so it's not 100% black in those dark areas. So even though we technically there isn't any light here other than the moonlight, there are a lot of cheats happening so that you can actually see what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see.
Quote
Okay.
unquote
Okay.
cheats.
There's yeah, we had there's more than meets the eye, I guess. It's not just light coming from the moon like you'd have in real life, because that would not look right in the engine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And one of the things we were mentioning earlier is kind of this dynamic moonlight. So I don't know if we'll see it shift a whole lot here. You can kind of see it shifting, but some of you may have noticed during day we have these kind of hot spots that pierce through the clouds and they'll illuminate the ground, and sometimes you'll get God rays kind of coming through the trees and stuff like that. So we have that same technology but using moonlight, which kind of had a surprisingly cool effect at nighttime that I certainly didn't expect it to be this kind of fun. But you'll be moving through like a dark area of the map and suddenly the clouds will break and you'll get that moonlight coming through, and your position could be kind of illuminated, or maybe you'll see something off in the distance that gets some light from the moon that you weren't anticipating. So it kind of adds a little bit of RNG to the game, a little bit of randomness to even how the light behaves in a single session.
Right, and I don't know how much we want to spoil, because right now Aaron is flying through the map, but the map is empty. There's no enemies that you can see right now, but we will have, I think we did say that we're gonna have new enemies, so the light kind of shifting and changing could show some enemies, make them more visible. Some of them might be hiding. By the way, you guys, if you guys want to join up on stage, there's a little hand you can press, and I can just you can ask the question live. I see people asking questions in the chat, which I don't mind reading the questions, but if you guys want to ask them directly, you can just raise your hand. So we have a question in chat that is asking, can you show us one of the more darkest areas on the map, I guess? A place that would require a lantern. Like, what's the darkest place on the map right now?
As Ted was alluding to, I think what we want to do ultimately is be able to turn off the lights in the dungeons, in the various dungeons within Greenwood. That technology is still coming online at the moment. So right now we don't have anything that's like pitch black. So what you're seeing right now is kind of that like baseline darkness with the fog. This is kind of like the overall treatment for the map. But imagine that maybe you go into a crypt and it gets really dark to where you have to turn on the lantern to be able to navigate that space. That's something that we're playing with right now and that we want to do ultimately, I think.
Yeah, awesome. Someone else, actually, we have a raised hand, and after that someone was asking if we could see the Ogre King's cave at night. But let me invite our
sure can.
Speaker.
Yeah.
Let's see if my frames
Hello?
get messed up.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Hi, a pleasure. I was just wanting to ask you, with all of this lighting at night, do you take into consideration the stealth characters like the rogue? Like at night, he's going to be especially hard to find.
Yep.
This is
Exactly. Yeah. And conversely, like the priest is going to be easier to find because she's glows during the daytime. So yeah, that was taken into consideration when we were like, how dark is dark? Because there was a version of this which this was all pitch black, and the rogue was just, you couldn't see him at all ever. And so like even here, there's a bit of fog, and so you'll see the silhouette of him through these areas. But yeah, we were taking that into consideration of some of the characters, and that's how again, night is going to be a little bit more difficult than daytime. Is the intent of the
Yeah,
map.
I think something else to kind of keep in mind is that I don't think it's a goal to balance every map for every class per se, but the idea being that there may be some maps that some characters shine a little bit more on in more than one way. Some maps that will kind of elevate certain classes, and some maps that certain classes may have additional struggle with, just because of the nature of exactly what you're saying here, where it's like this is a nighttime map and the rogue's set and gear is predominantly darker colored. So yeah, that could be seen as a kind of an advantageous thing for the rogue per se. But try to think of it as kind of an ecosystem of like, this is not the only map. Other maps will potentially elevate other play styles.
Yeah.
All right,
Also,
thank you so much.
thank you for the question. At some point we were actually discussing taking this even further. I don't think that's gonna make it actually in the end, but we were discussing at night all this fog. Maybe you have like more fog in some areas, and that fog could actually give the rogue like an actual stealth buff. We ended up not doing that because I think this is plenty of advantage for the rogue. But just to also, on the other hand, the priest does have some advantages when fighting undead, and undead tend to be a bit more active at night, so in a way it does balance out a little bit. Yeah, the PvP is definitely the rogues, and the less flashy classes will have more of an advantage. It's easier to like gank people or to like run away, or to just like, it's harder to just be spotted, but that kind of goes with the player fantasy. You're a rogue, you want to be a stalker at night, I believe. We have a question in chat now. Who lights the random candles in the graveyard, the crypts, and the dungeon? That's a big question. It's Ted. There it is. It's Ted.
Ted has a candle lighter. He goes around to each and every candle, and it's a lot of work.
Every night.
Or were you talking about in lore? In lore, that's a whole other story.
Well, that's canon now. Oh, it's canon. It's Ted the Lightbringer.
Ted the Lightbringer. I like that.
We have a question from Jokey. He's asking, given the emphasis on light and dark being at play in this new map, will we go back and change the lighting design in the underground areas in the daytime map? Are those going to change, or are we happy with those the way they are now?
We're not planning on changing those for daytime. We are for nighttime.
Right. Actually, maybe we could see that as well. That could be cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should look very similar, just because it's underground and you're not getting any daylight right now. But in a future update, we're hoping to have some tech come online where we could turn off the torches and stuff. So you go into a dungeon and it's just pitch dark. You're going to need a lantern, or you're going to need a lantern to get through and see it. But we're not planning right now to change it for daytime.
Got it. I mean, I think the daytime kind of looks pretty realistic. You go in the dungeon, you still have the cracks in the ceiling, light is coming through. I think it looks good, but at night, like, this fog adds a lot of atmosphere as well, and it is definitely just darker everywhere. Can I ask, what was the hardest, or one of the hardest areas to build for just level art, I suppose, for this map? Then we have some questions in chat. We have a bunch of them.
Hardest area to kind of level art out. I would say finding a good balance in the natural areas of Greenwood, like the areas of dense vegetation, and kind of determining what that would look like for our game. Getting that balance right for gameplay and readability, but also that kind of level of intricacy and detail and scale that we wanted to hit to kind of create a believable space. That was a challenge for sure. I think once we got into some of this kind of stuff, like the castle areas and stuff like that, I think we had a formula established, so a lot of it went a bit smoother. But kind of finding that initial look took a little bit more time in the beginning.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, I'm going to invite Jack on stage. Question from Jack.
Yes, hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Hello?
Yep. Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I do have two questions. One would be when it comes to lanterns and threading the map, while using them, like having them on or having them off, would there be a difference in aggro on the mobs in the forest?
Do you guys want to take that, or do you want me to take that?
Why don't you take that?
As far as I know, yeah, we did discuss that, and I don't know if we're like 100% set on yes or no, but that was I think no. I think it's not gonna matter. The only thing that it will matter is other players will see you. It's gonna make it more obvious, and we will have some areas where you won't make it where you need the lantern. At least the plan right now is not make it so like, we force the lantern. You have to have it, but there are areas where you will want to have it. We did want to tie more gameplay to it as well. We were thinking for a while for like kind of some sort of fog of war, where if you turn the lantern on, you can like activate or interact with some objects that otherwise wouldn't be interactable with. We discussed maybe some creatures can maybe only be seen / only be attacked in the light or in the dark. I think for the first pass it's just gonna be a light bulb as far as I know.
Okay.
But this is version 1. Yeah.
And the second question is kind of like a smaller one. This is more so related to the stealth. So like when it comes to a hunter having the bow drawn back and rogue just I guess running around, the little glare that the arrow has and the tips of the blade have, will they be present in this map as well?
They will exist. They will look different though. Like we have the person that's working on the visual effects for those. They have like different test levels for different lighting scenarios on the map. It's I actually saw this like yesterday or 2 days ago when we were doing some wizard stuff, and he had to show me that for like if you have a basic Unreal Engine kind of level, spells and VFX look a certain way. You shift the lights a little bit, they look completely different. So it will look different. It's probably not going to be like that big opaque white. But yeah, I'm not sure what it looks like even. Okay. Are you worried that it's going to be too visible, or where is this coming from? I'm curious.
Yeah, I think there will be a balancing process, I think, to kind of looking at all of our VFX in day and night and making sure that they translate in a meaningful way, and that has been a lot of, I think, even kind of working back and forth with Oscar, our lone VFX artist, who's been doing some amazing stuff for the game. Occasionally we'll shoot him like hey, the footstep plume that's coming off of the character is glowing at night. We might want to knock that back a little bit, or fireball is really bright at night, or stuff like that. So we can kind of calibrate and balance that stuff as we go.
I remember when we first did our playtest, exactly what you're mentioning is like the glints off of the rogue swords. They were very bright because they were meant to be seen at daytime, right? They were balanced for that, and so I know that's being addressed.
Yep,
there it is.
Yep. Thank you guys for the answers. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for the questions.
Thanks, man.
Of course. Thank you.
I'm gonna invite.
So I have to jump in. Really quick.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat mentioned werewolves, and I just want to throw that out. See, people want werewolves. It's not just me.
Just so you guys know, Ted is the biggest advocate for werewolves on the team. He is leading that fight right now.
Oh.
Bill is too.
There's your champion.
Yeah.
Well, werewolves confirmed. Soon, TM. Oh yeah, we got a question from Mr. Necrotic in chat. Hello. Alright, questions are pouring in now. I'll try to get everyone, but we'll see if we can. Hello.
Hello, good evening, guys. Thanks for having me. Just wanted to say really quick, Ted, I'm totally there with you. Werewolves need to be in the game. But if we're going to have werewolves, might as well have vampires too. You know what I'm saying? But,
that's fair.
But my question is, since Wizard is around the corner or soon coming, and someone already mentioned how the darkness is going to make rogues harder to see, and that's like the point, right? Are we going to see like environmental effects or conditions that might make other classes more effective? Like, I don't know, maybe an oil trap coating in oil so you're more flammable, or being doused in water making you more susceptible to lightning damage, or things like that. Anything that might be environmental hazards or conditions that might exemplify other classes.
Do you guys want to take this one?
Yes, please.
I can
Yeah,
grab
go.
it real quick, Andre, if
Sure,
you want.
sure. No, of course.
So we're not ready to confirm or deny anything today on that respect. However, there have been talks, there have been some really cool ideas around like what could happen to gameplay when it's raining. What could that do? Maybe like would it be cool if like afflictions didn't last as long, like they were kind of getting washed off of you, or what if like lightning was amplified during rain? There's a lot of talks about that, but I don't think we're ready to yet commit to anything just yet.
Yeah, I was basically gonna say the same, except instead of rain, I was gonna use the river, because we've had that talk with the river as well. What if you're in the river and you get shot with frost magic or frost arrow or lightning?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Thank you for the question.
Thank you very much. That's all I had.
Yeah, of course, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's take how many questions? Should we take a couple more because we were a bit late? You guys good with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
This place looks so sick. I keep looking at it. I love the fog. The fog adds so much. The fog came in really recent, right, Aaron? Came in last week, I think. The tech for the fog.
Yeah, I mean, we've had it for a little while. We're trying to get it kind of baked into the level so that we can actually experience this in our playtests. But yeah, the fog adds a lot of it lifts, like Ted was saying, it kind of lifts those crunchy blacks, and it also gives us like a sense of depth. So definitely a must-have.
Yeah, it looks great. I'm glad we got it. We got Mr. Rakan. I'm sorry, I can't see names of who I'm inviting, so I don't know who I invited, but hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. My question is referring to the colorblind modes. Have you guys looked into how this map is changed by those modes? Admittedly, as a degenerate, if I notice that is an advantage, I will flip that on before I go into this game mode, absolutely.
Oh, sweat lord.
Aaron, you want to take that, or have? I
Yeah,
know
that's
we've looked at
that's
them.
a great question. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I know. That's been a big part of the challenges for this map. It's like I know that we have been looking at like changing gamma on monitors so that you can't just crank your gamma and see further and stuff. And so yes, the short answer to your question is yes. We are looking at that to try and balance it across all of those so that you can't just flip over to a mode and you're in predator mode and
Yeah.
it can see everybody, that sort of thing.
Perfect.
That's one of the challenges of a night map.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point. And I think something else that we've considered a little bit is like a lot of times when a game does kind of a night mode, there's I call it gamma hacking, but it's like this idea that you can like gamma up your monitor really high and gain a competitive advantage. Something that we're playing with to kind of circumvent that is when we add a thick fog to the world, when you gamma up, that pixel information isn't there, so you actually just white out a little bit. So we're kind of we're trying to use fog as a way to kind of level the playing field, so that there's not like a huge advantage to having a HDR monitor or a brighter screen setting than whoever you're fighting against.
Right.
Perfect. Appreciate it, guys.
No problem. Thanks for the answer for the
Thanks for
question.
the question.
Yeah,
And I mean, at the end of the day, there are some settings that will give you like a tiny edge. If you guys remember, in Fortnite, professional Fortnite sweatlords would have their resolution like super cranked to where it was like super squished just so they could see more to the sides, and it looked awful.
Yeah.
But it gave them like a little bit of an edge. And like every game, you can tweak the settings a little bit if you want to be like the ultra, have like the tiniest of advantages. But yeah, we're trying to minimize that as much as we can. But it is a big challenge for a night map. All right, let's take one more question in the chat. I can't see who I'm inviting again, so I'm sorry. I'm just saying I'm inviting this person. But hello, person.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Great. How are you?
Pretty good.
Oh, I'm doing good. So my question was about is the moonlighting, the ambient lighting, is it going to be stagnant or static, or is it going to be dynamic with cloud covers and stuff like that?
It is dynamic. So if you've noticed if like you go up to the tall tower in the castle during the daytime, you can actually see the clouds roll by and shafts of sunlight. We're using the same technique in the moonlight. So you'll have paths of moonlight come through. Like Aaron was talking earlier, he and I were playing and we were fighting in this one area, and then this swath of moonlight came in and lit up the area. We're like, oh, we didn't see those skeletons often lurking in the corners of the darkness, right? So, and then the patch moved on, and we were, turn on the lantern so we can see everything. So the moonlight is dynamic. It's moving, casting shadows and the whole 9 yards.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah. No worries. Thanks for the question.
Thank you for the question. Okay, I have one last question I want to read from chat, and then we can go to the big announcement if you guys want. I'm sorry for this question. Someone's asking, will these new lighting changes affect PC performance?
So, the short answer is it shouldn't.
Exactly.
So we have the biggest thing that we've deployed is this new fog tech. And this has been deployed to day and night. And if Sam was here, our tech artist, he would tell me there's a cost to everything. So I'm going to reiterate, there is a cost to everything. We are Sam has done an amazing job of utilizing existing fog tech that's already in engine and kind of reconfiguring that in a way that has minimal performance impact beyond what we would already be paying for anyway with any amount of volumetric fog, if that makes sense. So it's kind of a reconfiguring. It's not like a straight addition of this kind of costly effect. Our hope is that perf will be pretty in line with where it has been, but we're still kind of getting metrics on that. That's kind of one of the last things that happens is optimization and testing of all these elements.
Yeah, so very well said. All right, I think we're at time. We could go into the final slides if you guys want to.
Let's do it.
Yes, absolutely. Let's go.
All right, we have some.
Can you guys see this all right?
Yep.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. Take it away, Ted.
All right, so we will be boosting the drop rates for epic and legendary items for the final days of Season 0.
By a lot.
Yeah, by a lot. So
a lot.
I don't know all the details. I work in the moonlight and daylight. I don't know all the details of this, but yeah, so I couldn't tell you exactly what days and stuff, but
I know the details. I know the details. Okay. I was told to not say a number, but it is a lot. It's a very big number.
Get in there and kill stuff and get some Legos.
110%, way more. A lot more.
Awesome. Okay, next. This weekend's deathmatch. Saturday, Castle Free for All, 15 players with preset gear. Sunday, 2v2s, bring your own gear, BYOG. And I do believe you will lose it if you lose it? Is that how that works?
In the deathmatch, you don't lose anything. Deathmatch is like you just go in and you kill each other, and it's just you can have fun.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, you don't lose it there. I mean, hey, the season's about to end soon. We will find out how soon, maybe. So even if you were to lose it, not a big deal, but you don't lose it.
I didn't mean to scare anybody. Okay, so all right.
Drum roll. Ready for the big one?
Here's the big one.
All right, drum roll. Here we go.
Season 1, Shadow's Reach, begins May 14th. Everybody, we have the release date.
There it is. 2 weeks left.
Get those vacation requests in for work, guys. Here we go.
Exactly.
So
let's go.
Lots of new things coming to Season 1. We're gonna do obviously a big complete wipe. So every character is gonna be back to square one. Lots of class changes. A brand new class, the Wizard. 2 new maps. Three new maps, because we have the Social Hub. We have Greenwood Night. We have the Crypts. We have a bunch of new
Yep.
creatures. I don't think we mentioned any of the new creatures. We have been like kind of tweeting and showing a couple of pictures here and there, but we haven't really made like a meet the devs, so people don't really know what kind of creatures lurk in the crypts and in Greenwood Night. So have fun with that.
In the darkness.
Yeah. And yeah, 2 weeks. Go no
Shadows
spoilers.
Reach, I love it.
Yeah.
Yep. I just wanted to give a big thanks as well to the entire art and tech teams. Everything that we've shown today has been a huge collaborative effort. We have such an amazing, passionate team here that's working tirelessly to bring this content to you guys. So big thanks to everyone.
Yeah, big thanks to everyone. Also, I know we've had some feedback where we've been a little bit silent recently, and we acknowledge that and we know that regarding like some of the changes to the classes and everything. We haven't forgotten about you guys. We're just working really hard on it, and yeah, 2 weeks you get to see it all. So, sorry about that. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome.
All right, cool. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you, Ted, and thank you, Aaron. It was awesome seeing what you guys
Thank you
have
guys.
been doing.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and yeah, next week we'll be doing Wizard Meet the Devs. We'll meet the Wizard. All right, have a beautiful rest of the day, everybody.
Take care, everyone. See you guys.
Laters.